studying for these tests and they hire private tutors. Some kids don't even show up to school anymore. They just all about studying. So I went into the 11th grade again, because they weren't so test heavy yet. Yeah.
So then did you have to go to the 12th grade here again then?
No, I actually got all my requirements fulfilled. I went 11th grade.
There you go.
So the first time.
Does the travel center downstairs do any travel to any of these countries?
So
I'm just wondering about some sort of collaboration there.
I saw Croatia down there, although you're probably more versed in this, but Croatia is part of the YES programs, I believe. I'm not 100% certain on that. I know Bosnia is. Yeah, might want to look into that.
If people are interested in traveling to one of those countries, maybe it's some sort of talking with someone who's been or.
Absolutely. And I have a question for you, Milo. So, all right, so you do 11th grade or whatever grade you did over there. Then you came back here. What happened to your grade point average? What happened to your college admissions?
So for this,
Because you were gone and then you returned.
yeah, so some people might see that as an issue, but usually what we strive for and what is accomplished almost every single year is getting the very best of the best, the brightest kids that we can, and putting them to these countries. So these are kids usually that, even if you're, we had a 9th grader go actually to Poland the same year. Yeah, so these kids go over, they have to coordinate with their schools if anything gives credit or not. Usually schools are pretty amicable to that. I mean, I only needed 1 English credit and I got that from being in my English class. So it's a lot of the kids usually are able to adapt really easily. And sometimes even if, you don't have any credits count, most of them graduate a year early anyway. So,
Okay.
kind of the norm.
Mallory, did you have a question?
I was wondering about 12th grade.
Oh,
So
Oh, yeah.
that got taken care of.
We also do leap years. So if you graduate 12th grade, you can then go for a year after to go.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
So does the YES program have any intergenerational programming?
Yeah, so if anyone's interested in the YES program, there's only a limited amount, so we have to pass them out. But these are just some flyers regarding them. I went on the Flex, which is more culture oriented, whereas YES is primarily based for more Arab dominant countries and language oriented.
So is Flex an organization or like umbrella under the YES program?
So
Or are those separate?
YES and Flex, we're sister programs.
Okay.
The main thing that we're under is American Councils for International Education, which is, through State Department.
Yeah.
well, I love the idea. You could teach dance classes, you could cook a meal. All would be accepted here. We could have a meal, then have a dance lesson. So we definitely appreciate the information and we can put that in our kind of our program list. We have your contact information. Is that the best way to move forward with doing something together?
Yes, so that'd be probably, I don't know, Jasmine, if you would like be able to work with me regarding.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'll pass your information on to Bonnie as well.
Yeah. If it's acceptable, I just want to take like 1 or 2 pictures to prove I did this. I do have to report to someone regarding like, we actually do stuff because we're flown out, I think it's either once or twice a year to Washington DC, for meetings, so.
So do you live locally now?
Or I can take it like a view, like standing.
Yeah, sure.
Or do you
Yeah.
want to stand and then do a selfie with everyone behind you?
I think we can do both.
Okay.
So are you from this area now?
I am, yes.
Okay.
I was not born in Salem, but I've been raised here.
How did you find out about the program yourself?
I'll get to you just a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I found out about the program because I wanted to go on exchange, but I didn't have $35,000 that other exchange programs did. Great thing about this one, it's fully funded, so I didn't have to pay a cent.
Yeah,
Was it funded by the
Uh,
government or by?
Yeah, so the US Department of State has like decided to give us funding, and while it's not very well known in America because us sending kids to those countries is known as Flex Abroad, but the Flex program has been over 30 years of academic excellence. And actually, I forget which heads of state. I think it was the former Polish prime minister. I think the former Azerbaijani head of state or something were all former Flex kids.
Oh, interesting.
And a lot of members of parliament in a lot of these countries are because of the valuable experience that they've had. So it is having an effect on our international relations, so.
What's your long-term goals?
My long-term goal is, international affairs. I'm currently going to, Chemeketa Community College and finishing up there. Then I'm going to Oregon State University, for political science. And I've been doing ROTC there, so I hope to get into the Air Force.
Great.
maybe that's something, talking with Bonnie, because you've been there to be able to talk about, what's happening, culturally and politically in the area.
Yeah, so as far as politically, I have to be very, very sensitive about that whole area. Georgia is currently occupied. 20% of the territory is occupied by Russia. I know there's a lot of things going out in the media right now regarding, Russia and the whole Eastern conflict, which I've been following very closely. But even just as an individual, I'm not allowed to speak on Flex's behalf regarding this sort of thing. I can answer questions, so if someone wants to say, well, what's the difference between Ukrainian and Russian, I can do that. But as soon as we start saying, well, what's Novorossiya, it's oh. Okay.
Well, and we understand. So
Yeah.
that's good.
If we had intergenerational thing that we know, how many of your age would we be able to see with you in a meetup with the older folks?
So I am currently the only one in Oregon. It's because we're very, very young. I was one of the first cohorts. I was actually the only one, the closest alumni to me in my program year was from San Antonio, Texas.
Wow.
Now we have someone, I think, in LA and one person in Seattle. But I'm not gonna ask them to make that trip.
No.
So, but this year, when we have more people coming back, I think we might have one person from Eugene. So.
Do you all do any partnership or kind of prepping to work with Peace Corps as an agency?
So
If
we
you're
do,
PC?
I do know that we heavily emphasize to, a Peace Corps as another alternative after Flex. Instead of just going back. Yeah. I don't know if we work, I don't know how closely our agencies are linked together, but I do know it's.
I'm with Peace Corps volunteer, so
Really, so,
Uganda.
you got it.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming and we definitely will discuss how we'll move forward. I'm curious, while you're talking about international relations, have you had any conversations about care and respect of elders in other parts of the world?
So yes, actually, and I could, if you'd like, I could give a whole presentation on how the elderly are seen in countries like Georgia versus here. It's very different, and the whole, I guess, pyramid that we have here is almost flipped upside down. Where those people are given they're seen as not only the heads of the family, but the core decision makers in society and culture, and nobody disrespects grandma. That is a huge, huge no-no. You'll get your socks rocked, I guess.
Well, I'm wondering right off the top of my head, if you would like to do that presentation on May 28th.
May 28th.
You could look at your calendar, May 28th. That's the very end of Older Americans Month, and I think that would be an excellent conversation
Okay.
at 2:30.
What day of the week is that?
It's Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, never passes up. for you.
Nope. At 2:30, you said.
Mhm.
Wouldn't that be more of a, this sort of format where I would just kind of stand up and?
It would, but it's gonna be in the downstairs auditorium.
Sure.
Yeah, but you could have a PowerPoint presentation, you can do whatever you want, you could speak without any handouts or anything on the screen, or you could have a presentation that's more formal, it's totally up to you.
Okay, as far as handouts, all of this stuff, as you probably like have seen, it's a little bit outdated. Because we only have, 3 countries currently listed. We did add Romania last year. But it's just due to the new administration, political whatnot, our funding for handouts and this sort of small discretionary funds have been paused and unpaused and really ambiguous in whether I can actually get resources sent.
No, but just your words and insight of what you've discovered about the flip flop of the pyramid, and I think that would be hugely and just very educational for our folks.
Sure.
And it fits nicely into our value system as we talk about how can we elevate the value of older adults? And that's kind of the theme of this year's Older Americans Act. So what you've learned across, abroad, I think would be a really cool addition. So your timeliness of being here today is fantastic, actually.
Excellent.
We probably have good photographs you can show.
I do. I can throw some of those in there.
So it'll be a larger group.
Okay.
Yeah. So are you able to come that day?
Yes, I don't have anything else on my, at time, so yeah,
So we'll reach out to you for a title,
okay,
what your talk's title would be.
sure. I will have it on there.
And Milo, do I have your permission to give your information to my daughter? She runs study abroad programs at PCC.
Oh, excellent. Yes, yes. You're allowed to give out any information. If you want my phone number, I can also give that out as well. So yeah, we're super.
His contact.
I'm just gonna
Do you
take
need any of these back?
one more selfie. No, you can keep all those. Take one. Not gonna go. All right, well. Oh, well.
Well, when you go back to Washington, it'll be really cool for you to report that you brought knowledge of older adults from your study and from your experience, because I think that that's very timely as well for our leadership in Washington, DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also very honored to be here. As like, I think I've more kind of adapted and I've taken some cultural values that they have over there as well, that, sometimes slowing down, and this is for me, young people, never miss a good excuse to shut the hell up. To just, to slow down, listen, because chances are they've done it before. Whatever you want to do, you should ask advice of the older generation. So I do, do
Milo,
appreciate you.
We have a program that we encourage and foster with other organizations, Generations Over Dinner. And so we'll make sure to invite you to the next one that we have. Your insights will be really valuable.
I think
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else before we move on? Okay. I have passed out the director's report, and I have a couple of people here that are not included in the report that are gonna be able to speak to it, but couple of things that I just kind of wanted to address. First, we have a great event coming up next Friday night. It's the senior prom, 6:30 to 8:30 with the Salem Big Band. Plenty of tickets available, so invite the world. We also are having Lisa Rose back the same day that we have we are going to have Milo back. are going to have Lisa Rose. She's a Karen Carpenter impersonator, and she was at our spring chick, and she was amazing, but we didn't get to enjoy her long enough, so she's gonna come back and do a short show. So they'll, Karen Carpenter impersonator will warm up the crowd for you.
Wow.
Yeah, so that'll be really fun.
Does he even know who Karen Carpenter is?
I regrettably do not.
Yeah, I had that question too.
That's all right.
That's all right.
You know what will happen is maybe you'll hear a song and you'll be like, oh, I do know. her.
Yeah, you'll.
Yeah, that's what happens.
She and her
Once you hear
brother were the carpenter. And unfortunately, she succumbed to an eating disorder early in life, but lots of wedding kind of music.
She's fantastic. We had our Spring Chick Women's Conference last weekend, and, you know, just quickly to report, it was a really lovely day. And the theme was poison confidence, but you hope that the theme will be throughout the entire the entire day. And it was so amazing because we had 9 speakers, and each of those speakers somehow returned back to a deeper meaning. And it ultimately ended up dealing with grief. So the opening session was changing the lens. What if the things that happened to us happened for us? And really the lens of changing our perspective comes from an act of discipline, honestly, in some cases. But she had an interesting story from almost losing a company to losing her husband to empty nest to rediscovering herself in her 50s, and it was very motivating. It's very good. And then our heart health from Salem Health.
Michelle.
Yes, Dr. Rasmussen was amazing, and Donna, what's her last name? From Salem Health. Why am I drawing?
I don't know, Donna, but.
She was amazing, but both of them really, it was nice because we hear heart health all the time. You know, you hear it, you read it. They drilled down to, why does this matter to me right now? And it was so good.
Thomas.
Yes, Donna Thomas. She said, yeah, she was excellent, but they brought it back to a different, higher thought process about taking care of ourselves, prioritizing ourselves. It was very good. Then we had a speaker on beauty, and you know, we have speakers on beauty all the time, like how to inject your lips or how to lose weight, or, I mean, all those things. And yes, she talked about beauty and style, but the deeper meaning was how we can lose that desire to be your true, beautiful self because of grief. And that she used that maintenance of herself to carry her through grief. That actually, that exterior does matter. It was really interesting how she took a kind of a superficial topic and then returned back to a deeper meaning. And then we ended the whole day with the practical stuff. Attorney, financial, and solo aging and building community. And what I loved about that final session was it wasn't 55 minutes of deep dive. It was, if I need to know 3 things, what are those 3 critical things? And people left feeling with action. And then we wrapped it up. The final bookend was an actual beauty to the opening when Heidi spoke. Heidi talked about a demonstration or a person she's met along the way that really epitomized solo aging in the right way. And it was Carrie, a quite elderly woman who found purpose even in a memory care facility. Even in the end of her life, she found purpose. And so it was really an active discipline, you know, so it was really.
What was the attendance? How many people came?
We had 180 people.
Wow.
Yeah, then that includes the vendors and the volunteers.
Yeah.
So I think we had 165 guests or something like that. So it was a good attendance. We stayed in the auditorium all together for the day.
Yeah.
And so each table kind of enjoyed being together and getting to know each other and didn't have to run all over the building. And They had a kind of a progressive tea party and it was fun. They had good food and we learned, I mean, we learned some things like we always do, because I mean, it is our 15th year. I mean, we've been doing the spring checks forever. Definitely one of our better ones though. Yeah. So lifelong learning department, we've been doing a lot of, the classes that are in the program guide continue. They flow nicely year after year, month after month. And we started assessing a $30 out-of-city fee basically we started implementing it in September. And of the 15,000 patrons, we know between 5,500 and 6,000 would be out of city. And of those, we have only captured 200, a little over 200. And another greater number are individuals that aren't paying the $30 a year, but are choosing to do the 20% higher for every single class they take. And so, you know, we end up with about $6,000 in additional revenue. But we are, as soon as we kind of get through this budget time and the levy, and we're gonna need to dig deeper into understanding why people would rather pay the 20% more per class than why they don't want to join. And why that is so important for us is we've been a 50-year organization with no membership. And it's a culture here. Y'all can come, you pick from a menu of things you want to do, but we aren't a club with a voting membership like South Salem or Kaiser. And the mentality of people we need to understand. There is a mindset for people that are joiners. Like they want to join a club, they want to have a voting membership, they want to decide what kind of coffee they get, and they have 1,000 members. We're an open community center. People flow. We make choices for the good of the great. We don't allow small groups to dictate how we function or who we let in or who we don't let in. We are very open and we have 15,000. Can we be both? Can we keep the culture of openness and all of that and have a membership? And the reason I am kind of having that dialogue is, frankly, whether the levy passes or doesn't pass, the center itself has to look at how we function and how we fund ourselves. We just have to moving forward. And so one of those things we've continually returned back to is, should we be a membership organization like the Y? And I'm a little scared because if I made that decision and then only 200 people paid, we'd be bankrupt. I don't ever want to be a barrier to people connecting. And so the reason I'm sharing this with you is I think that needs to be what we add to our work plan as we move forward, is in that strategic thinking and our planning. And we'll know more after the levy what kind of urgency our planning needs to take. We do have to come back to this conversation. We need to either rule it in or rule it out so we can move on and think differently about our fee structure. And I think we need to ask people. I think we need to ask why do you go to a place where you get to vote on the coffee and you have real pride in knowing that you're a part of a board and that board decides everything and if you're either in or you're out. Why do you feel most comfortable there? And why do you choose Center 50 Plus? And if you choose Center 50 Plus, why are you not joining? I think we need to understand the mindset behind that. So I found that to be interesting.
So the 20% additional ends up being less than $30 a year, is that it?
Well, it would be, but I just saw someone in the lapidary who has not joined and he is paying 20% every week.
Okay.
And it is hundreds of dollars more. than the $30 fee.
So based on the financial aspect there, would you rather have the extra money or his designation as a member and less money?
And you know what? I don't know.
Okay. That's
Because
one of the
he
things
is the exception here. He
Right.
gives so much more. But what about all the people that come here and they don't contribute
Right.
really anything?
Mhm.
If they currently don't really contribute anything, my gut tells me they don't have it and they'd probably be on a scholarship anyway.
Okay,
So that's the deeper dive.
And I have heard over and over again, people in the travel center staff explain this to people, and they do a wonderful job of explaining. Joining for the certain fee or 20% more, and people seem to understand it.
well, if you're going on a trip, you definitely want to join, you don't want to pay 20%.
That's correct. It pays off quickly, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like probably the first time.
But as far as the lifelong learning goes, we haven't seen a dip in the attendance. We continue to hold steady. So the fee hasn't really impacted us. One thing that hasn't changed is we implement if you're a gym member, do they pay the in-city, out-of-city? They do.
The only thing that doesn't is our nail care. We didn't feel comfortable making a service for folks who absolutely need this. We didn't want to do a price difference on that. So that's the only thing that isn't 20% more.
Well, and you're gonna speak to your membership on your attendance, so that'll be good for us to hear. As far as this lifelong learning, Bonnie Kadich is my second in command. Both Bonnie and Kanoy split the responsibilities. And she's running the lifelong learning program, and she's the backup to the Connection Center. And with the levy, the support to the Connection Center has been, is one of the positions that has been put on the budget cut. So looking at Bonnie's area, the growth needs to happen in shifting even more responsibility to volunteer-driven programming and contracts. And finding contractors that require the least amount of time and attention. And so she has created what we call I call it a scorecard, but that's not really right, but it's a valuation of each and every class. How much time is she spending on it? Is that teacher for us, or is it really they're here to make money, but they're not really invested in the mission? You can sense that. Are we struggling to fill it? If we're struggling to fill a class for more than 2 terms, we need to move on. But so she has kind of a scorecard, and we're using that to prioritize the classes that get to move forward. And because she can only manage so many, and we have 200 in that program guide right now. And thankfully, many of them just go. They just do their thing. They let us know if a hole's in the wall, but beyond that, they kind of flow. Those will stay. But these new classes that come in, they're either gonna get up and go and do well quickly, or we'll have to move on because we just don't have the bandwidth. We get dozens of suggestions a week. And I've always said there's no shortage of good ideas. But when we have ideas, there has to be some glue behind it to move it forward, even when using a volunteer workforce. Matter of fact, a volunteer sometimes will require more time and attention to go because they're not being paid. So there's this idea that the things they don't really enjoy doing, that maybe someone else should do it for them. So we have to, that really lends us to finding the right volunteer. So thinking of the classes that are really popular right now, anytime we do something with gardening, goes really well. We had a micro greens class, fantastic. Anything to do with genealogy. There's just an ongoing curiosity about who we are and what we're doing. And then of course, arts and crafts of any kind. Those are always very popular. We had a history class, very popular. So lifelong learning is holding its own. The cohort is another piece that we're having to examine. The learning cohort, we are finishing up, we have our senior class and great group of folks. But it's a monthly gathering, they plan trips, and we're gonna have to really examine whether we continue with the new freshman class, and start the program again. And one of the reasons is frankly, the cost of field trips cannot be done for $109 a year. You just can't do it. So we have a disconnect between what we want to do and the true cost. And I will talk about that real quick. I'm gonna have you go ahead, Kanoy. And Hitting Fitness is the next on our report.
So I'm gonna be kind of brief because all of our classes, they're doing fantastic. This 20% surcharge hasn't made a big difference in our folks. They see the value in it. They enjoy their classes. More importantly, they love their classmates and their instructors. So we're pretty excited about that. Even the evening, we do have one change that's gonna happen in July, so I'm gonna mention that one, but we've been offering Flex and Fab for 2 years now. And while it's a wonderful class, it's just a 30-minute class to get people warmed up for the Zumba toning. We're gonna go in a little different direction and we're gonna start offering a third Silver Sneakers class. It's called Silver Sneakers Boom Muscle. And it's gonna be about 35 minutes or so. And we're gonna try it out beginning in July. Kind of another beginning level type fitness class, a little bit of cardio, obviously more resistance training. So give it a go and sort of see what happens. We haven't been able to offer a lot of new classes. All of the ones that we have right now are doing so well. So that's the one that we've kind of identified as like, hey, we've let it go for a little while. We're only getting like maybe 5 people. We have a minimum of 10 that we need to have. So we're going to launch that and see how that goes. My Dotrin will be teaching that one. Our Silver Sneakers Spanish speaking class, unfortunately, it hasn't grown as much as we'd hoped. We still just have the one awesome, amazing student that comes every week, and we love her. But we haven't really seen it grow as much as we'd like. So we're gonna kind of have to see what we want to do with that one. It's right now, it's just 1 day a week. We're hoping that we'd be able to increase that to 2 days a week like our other classes. The next direction I actually wanted to go with it, if it was becoming successful, was to do a Silver Sneakers yoga in Spanish. So something to reach for. Pardon me.
Right?
Yeah, try out one day. We recently added a third day to our Silver Sneakers Classic, which is kind of exciting. They've been hounding me for years to add that third day on a Friday. But what I noticed is people still really like to just come 2 days a week. They just like the opportunity that if there's a third day, they might drop in. Well, these folks have stepped up to the challenge. They said, if you can promise me that 10 of you will be here for a month straight, I'll keep it going. Well, by golly, they love it, and we're excited to be able to offer another third day of fitness. Foot care services are going gangbusters. It's pretty awesome when we are super full that she's having to add more days to her schedule. This is hot off the press. I actually have to read it from my text. Our foot care gal is going to be offering an advanced wellness pedicure. Now this one's quite a bit more expensive right now. It's just $35 to be able to get your kind of basic pedicure. We like to think of it as really the stop between the podiatrist. So, because that can be pretty costly. It's $35. Well, this advanced wellness pedicure is $120.
Whoa.
However, she's already filled her first day. So
Really?
yeah, she's offering me 1 day a month to try it out, and she already filled. She offered it. She was just mentioned it yesterday to some of her folks, and she filled her appointments for May. So I was like, so it's out there.
What's the difference?
Well, I'm gonna read
That's what I'm.
Hold on a sec. Here you go. The new foot care service offering is an in-depth wellness pedicure. It will address all common nail and skin issues such as splits, thick or discolored nails, cracking or calloused skin, etc. It takes 60 to 75 minutes and includes a mask, hot towel wrap, and massage. So
Oh, no.
You
go
signing
ahead.
up?
I
Are you
have-
signing
no,
up?
no, no, I had a question about the new one that's gonna replace Flex and Fab.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because is that what's gonna be at that time?
Correct.
The same time?
Mhm.
Okay.
And because it's a silver sneakers, if you're a silver sneakers person, you don't pay, is that right?
That's great. So it'll be nice to be able to offer a silver sneakers class in the evening. That was kind of our goal. If
think
we're gonna
that's
offer
smart.
something new, let's try something new in the evening that folks who are already silver sneakers can take.
And they
So
might like Zumba too after that.
I think they might.
I keep trying
it's
to
a
get
great
more.
progression,
Yeah.
something to work up to. Yeah, so excited about the new things coming. Foot care, super excited about that. Healthy living lectures. They're going so well. I'm super excited to see that people want to come and learn how to live healthier. And it could be things like last month we had Paul Martinson. He had 30-year career being a science teacher. And he did a presentation on gut health and how the foods that we are eating nowadays are different than what they were and why we have so many autoimmune diseases now more so than we did. And anyways, he had over 20 people there. It was pretty exciting on a Tuesday morning that 20 people showed up to learn a little bit more about their gut health. Coming up in June, we have Alzheimer's Association, who's a partner here with us. They will be doing the warning signs of Alzheimer's, June 12th. We have stroke awareness by Salem Health. May is actually Stroke Awareness Month, but it didn't coincide with our schedules to be able to do it in May, so we're doing it at the beginning of June. And that's always a really well attended one.
So do you have to do pre-registration or can you drop in if you?
You just call me and say, can I need a seat? And then you're registered.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's, one more thing. If you are interested or know somebody who is, we have a mobile mammography coming here, May 20th. And so they're gonna be parked here in our parking lot. And you just call, or you email the mobile.mammography@tuality.org and they will get you scheduled, but they will be here all day. And we haven't offered that here before, so add that on your list of things to do on May 20th.
And as far as payment goes, then it would be through your insurance company.
It would, and when you contact them, they will help you check through your insurance to make sure that that's covered. Yeah.
We've been exploring ways to make that more enticing because a lot of people haven't signed up. We aren't sure. Our population here, the idea of just hopping into like a food truck and getting a mammogram doesn't seem to be as appealing. So we were thinking maybe it should be a part of a food truck event.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Free food, always a draw.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Jasmine go next on our volunteer management. I am pretty excited. Are you gonna share the news or did you want me to?
No, I think you should.
Okay, so as you may know, Jasmine is on a 2-year program to be our volunteer coordinator. It's funded through the Mountain West Center for Community Excellence. And we have some pretty concrete goals that our donor wants to see, and they align with what we want to see, so it's perfectly fine. But we needed, besides the position, we need some help financially, and Bonaventure just committed to $8,750 to beef up our volunteer program, and it includes the launching of a campaign, including highway billboards, a new video,
Wow,
300 t-shirts.
wow.
They're gonna fund the event, the volunteer recognition event, plus one more, and then a monthly campaign and recognition of our volunteers. So it's definitely going to assist us in what we really want to pursue. You know, we kind of set a theme for our Cup of Joe that we start working on as soon as we drink our last cup of coffee at this current year's Cup of Joe. And we're gonna use volunteerism, the value of volunteerism, the give back years. And so Jasmine's gonna speak to, and I would really want you to make sure you address the give back corner and that new piece of it, so.
Let me just
Yeah.
say that Mountain West and Bonaventure is a very generous community member, is in charge of both of those pots of money. So that's a huge commitment. Huge commitment.
We're
Yes.
very thankful.
And we're super excited that this has allowed us to kind of grow in the ways that we've wanted and kind of visioned it to. So, but kind of moving forward, so in the Northwest 50 Plus magazine, we'll start the Give Back Corner. So every month we'll just, or when we, is it every month or every other?
Every other.
Month when we post those, we'll kind of have a, like health fact that volunteer, because I don't think people truly understand the health benefits that come with volunteering for people who are working, but especially people who are retired. And so I would like to have that, and then we'll also do a spotlight, and everything will be cohesive to be that month's theme. And so along with that month's theme, Marilyn kind of went into it, but we'll have a training session that will relay and correspond to it, so that way our volunteers have ongoing training as well. And don't worry, we'll definitely make it fun and exciting, so it's not just a little lecture PowerPoint, but it'll be more fun and inviting than that. And then on top of that, we'll have the Give Back Corner. On top of that, we'll have our volunteer. It's like, it'll be like a mini recognition every month for a volunteer, basically a monthly volunteer, right? And then on top of that, then we'll have our two big yearly ones, which one of them is actually already coming up again, which is the Boot Scoop and Brew, like our preview party for our volunteers. Since we need so many volunteers at the Boot Scoop and Brew, and a lot of them thankfully take their job seriously, so they don't get to enjoy the party as much as everybody else does. So we want to make sure that they enjoy Boot Scoop and Brew and are able to, take part of it the day before, as well as get some training on what their roles and jobs are going to be. So that's going to be a huge thing, and we're thankful to have.
I'm gonna add there, in addition to Bonaventure giving the money, they are going to host the large tent at the Boot Scoot for volunteer check-in, volunteer cool off and drink, relax corner, and the first aid station. So
We get to have a banner or something there saying hosted by.
it will have their name on it,
Good.
and then there'll be a sign that says volunteer check-in and first aid station. So both, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, and then going off of, so that's just things to look forward to coming up. So we're super thankful to be able to have gotten that money and move forward with our goals. So changes will be noticeable. And then, so just a little fun health fact for you guys before I move into some other updates. Did you know, so I know we have a lot of beauty talks here at the center, and we talk about, ways to prevent wrinkles, things to help our lips bigger, things like that. But did you know that just volunteering about 4 hours a week actually slows down the aging process? It's cheap, fun, and you get to hang out with us. Way to kind of reverse that aging process. So that's kind of cool, right? I think that's really cool.
That's why my
No
lips
needles
are
needed. Yeah. So, but, oh, and then, of course, the average volunteer that we have here at the center actually volunteers more than 4 hours a week. So that's why we're a great looking team here. But just an update on how the volunteer recognition event went last month. It was a huge hit, super successful. The movies were awesome. The event was beautiful. And then we were just able to take notes, and next year gonna be bigger, better, same place. This was just so fun. But we will be kind of having an award ceremony in one of the auditoriums instead. That way we can all kind of gather together. I know it was fun kind of hanging out in your room, but in the room that you're gonna watch a movie, but I think this would be a little bit more cohesive. And so then also if you missed out, you definitely missed out, so. The volunteer newsletter will go out through Logistics this week again, so expect that in your email. And then let's see. Oh, and then we also have a little update on our Spanish volunteers. We had a Spanish bingo last month, which, the turnout wasn't as huge as we wanted or as big, but it was actually a great time for our volunteers to kind of use it as a training moment. And so we kind of ran through certain different programs and our volunteers were able to gather and also kind of just talk about the respite program and go through on ways that we can all kind of continue to work and help that grow. So, yeah. I think that's kind of what's.
And this would probably be a good time to say, I thought the volunteer was so nice. And my favorite part was dressing up. But I want to thank all you guys who, you know, took part in planning and took part in thinking. What a fabulous idea. Let's go to the movies. Yeah.
Wasn't the red carpet fun?
Oh, it was
Yes.
very nice. Very nice.
I know it's been a little bit, but we have a video, a fun video of people walking the red carpet with the different photos that I'm trying to get done, so we'll get it up there. I think what I love most about what we're doing in the volunteer coordinator area is there are some behind the scenes things that really needed to be done. We've had a handbook and the handbook is fine and we'll dust it off and clean it up a little, but it's pretty good. But we have not had a strategic volunteer plan where we talk about this is how we recruit, this is how we retrain, this is how we retain, this is how we recognize, this is how we exit. How do we exit? This is how we, you know, there are some things that we want to get down on paper and streamline for us here because 465 people is no small task to manage. And we know that's not actually probably accurate because we have a lot of people that are doing volunteerism that never turn in their hours through the outreach program. I'm looking at Heidi. There are some things that we need to do better and that's capturing our numbers. I have a gentleman who comes in every single week, works 8 hours in the lapidary. And so we capture 8 hours. Well, then I find out he takes motors home and works on them at home for another 10. And he goes to the store and shops and drove to Portland to pick up something. None of that was captured. I said, so you mean another 15 hours this week did not get captured? And he goes, well, it's pretty much about right every week. And I went, how many people are doing that? So, we're excited to
Well, and
go
when
there.
you share it in a way that they understand that the more hours we can report, then when grants are offered or other things, then we get to capture that and it benefits the center. Because in most cases, the volunteers are going, oh, it's just my time. It's no big deal. Not understanding that that's a real benefit for the center to know that, well, heck, we just lost out on, you know, like 15 times 52,
Mhm.
or the 2 weeks you're closed, I guess.
Yeah.
Not, so,
It's a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. Before I get to Heidi, I just want to give you an update. I've been talking about the Golden Girl House. The Golden Girl House is done. All 6 people have been selected. We've been doing these fun meet and greets where they come together and they are working their way through this book, Sharing Housing. It's a curriculum to help people be good roommates. And can be tense and it can be fun, both at the same time. But imagine 6 people sharing the same space do they sleep the same? Do they eat the same? Do they clean up the same, etc.? So it's been a really great exercise. We're waiting on our final occupancy permit, which is gonna happen any minute, any day. It's ridiculous, it's terrible, darn city of Salem.
So it's very close to here.
No, it is not.
Oh, okay, I was trying to look at that.
No, they were here. They've been meeting here. They
Oh.
all actually, 4 out of 6 actually are regular participants here. And then 2 are new to us, but have begun to start coming. It's off Mildred, so it's actually in South.
Oh,
It's a bit of bit away, a brand new home, 6 bedroom, 6 bath, 3,500 square foot, single level, minimal yard. Maybe 3 parking places, so we're working through that.
So is it
Um,
owned by the city or?
No, it's not. It's owned by, was built for us but it's owned by Catholic Community Services.
Oh, okay.
We're not in the housing business, so they're managing it, they're the leaser.
So they're like renting rooms essentially.
They are, but they have to do it as a single family.
Got it.
It's a single family home, so they're entering it with established relationships and as a family unit. Our part is the whole reason that it was built. It's been built with no mortgage, so it's set at $550 per person. And our role is we are actually responsible for the pilot program, which is demonstrating that people of non-blood relations can come together and create family. And that people that have minimal supports can create friendships and family structure to allow them to age in place. And so we will be working with them, continuing, moving forward. We have, I don't know if you met Savannah. Savannah was our MSW student that was here. She's going to continue to, she's been working with the ladies. And she's going to continue to navigate those conversations. So monthly meetings, she's going to help them connect to food stamps if they qualify, transportation if they need it, other resources. But really, we're taking 6 people and we're going to just wrap our arms around them and we're going to say, do you have every single thing you can possibly qualify for and be successful in? And we're going to sit over here and we're going to assist you getting along. We're going to help navigate problems early. We're going to kind of force conversations because the donor, Mr. Jakarski, and Larry Sharp, together built this house. And they are willing, they love this idea. They are willing, if we can demonstrate that it's possible, to do more. And then also at the same time, it gives us the information to encourage people who have unused real estate in their own homes to consider this model. There is a program called Home Share Oregon, but it's more like a Match.com. It's all online. And our seniors are just not buying into it here in Salem. We even had a caseworker placed in here to help it. People are just too scared. And so we have 40% of our attendees own their homes. And we know of those, the majority of them have more house than they need. But they're sitting there, they're short on money, but they're too scared to get a roommate. We have people that need a room. This whole idea of minimizing your belongings and sharing a space resonates with a lot of people. And financially, they need it. We have a whole building filled with people that are in that range, that $550 to $750 is where they're comfortable. But they're living in $1,400 to $1,600 cost, and it's keeping them so minimum, just so strapped. So we're pretty excited to move forward with that. I think, do I see somebody? So we're pretty excited. This is really exciting. And so we have our piece. And the problem part, maintenance, collecting rents, it's Catholic Community Services.
Yeah.
And so we get to do the fun stuff.
I'm assuming there's metrics that the 2 individuals that have invested in this are looking for if they want to spread it.
Yes, there is some.
Is that like the fact that these people cohabitate together for a year and don't abandon do you have the metrics?
One of the key pieces is they're looking for 90% retention at the 1-year rate.
Okay.
They're looking for people that are not looking for a rolling door. This really isn't folks that are kind of in a temporary phase. It's the ones that we have selected. This could be their last home. Yeah. And we start at 50. We have a 50-year-old and we have an 84-year-old.
Well, that's great.
So that is an intergenerational. Everyone says kids, but no, 50 and 82, we might have checked a box there. And then a few in between.
Okay.
I would love to see it being documented.
I know.
For
that's
future,
there's nothing that
yeah, I
really
can see
I
10
thought the
years.
same thing.
I mean, just listening to you, I can see, yeah, but it is a program, and if it's something that can benefit everywhere. It's,
Well, and you know, it reminds us we're doing our part on the house,
Yes.
how on the housing shortage. We're not in the housing business. I tell everybody that, but what can we do through the lens of what we do? What is it? What are we qualified for? And it's relationships.
well, the idea that I'm one of those that eventually will have this big house. And so there are so many of us. And just to know that there is a possibility that it would, yeah.
Absolutely. On that frame of mind, a lot of the work comes from our outreach, from our WOW van. They are supporting the house. There will be ongoing encouragement for volunteerism. My two young people, I'll just be honest with you, our goal is to help them get jobs. We're gonna support that effort. So, but some of the other ones that are maybe beyond wanting to work full-time or able to work full-time or even work part-time, we will help everyone engage in volunteerism, especially in that neighborhood. So Heidi?
Yeah, I love this project and, it's possible that we could get our, intergenerational communications team from Willamette to come and do some, interviews, for documentation.
Early stages.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
you know, keep.
Yeah, so the first semester, so next semester, we'll talk with Professor Wynn and see if we can do that. So April, we had our second of 3 spring mini series, Roots and Blooms, and that was all about taking advantage of the warmer weather and everyone's kind of a little stir crazy after winter to get outside, but get outside with purpose in the neighborhood. So we had 3 big ideas. The first one was introducing the participants to the concept of intentional neighboring. If you've heard me talk, you know I'm into this right now. This is all about the groundwork for building a village is to move from stranger into relationship. And how do you do that with your immediate neighbors? And then we also talked about fun ways to become visible in your neighborhood. And one of them is remembering, as Marilyn's mom taught us like a couple of years ago with the spring chick, that your front door is your smile. And so we shared fun ideas about how you can spruce up that front door, make it sparkle. And then also one of my mom's favorite sayings is, these are the good things of life. And so what are the good things? The simple things that you can share with your neighbors. So that old fashioned, I bake some cookies, I have some lemonade, I come join me on my porch, those sorts of things that create community. So that was great. We had about 12 people who came with that. That was a nice compliment to the Ready and Resilient that we did in March. We had about 18 who came for that. And on Friday, we'll be exploring this neighboring concept further. I'll be introducing our community hero internship program. That started in partnership with, or as a result of working with the Career Education Center up the road, and getting the big idea that we should have teen interns this summer with an intensive learning about aging in place, age-friendly community, and then everything that I just talked to you about. Really, that's the curriculum that they will explore during a 4-week intensive. And so that's that's the month of July. And then we were taking applications through May 16th. I have pushed that to June 16th, and I've also extended or broadened the age range. So it's 8th through 12th grade. And we have some built-in newbies who are our fit care specialists, young teens, kids are now volunteering with us on Mondays. And I said, perfect. You're now part of that team. So we'll be launching that. And let's see, we had the cleanup. We had about 15 people come to, mow the lawn and weed, and a really sweet family from the neighborhood, thanks to our partnership with Highland, came out, and they contributed time, and ranger at the May 29th, which is a Thursday, we have a partnership with Marion County. And they are bringing one of the speakers, I suppose, out that's been talking about Dr. Vivek Murthy's Power of Connection. So it's a little, it's kind of doing a deep dive into the research around isolation and loneliness. We haven't done it for a while, so I thought it would be worthwhile to bring it here again. So that's May 29th. And then on June 23rd, we have our energy and resource fair. And that's a Monday, and it's the first time we've done it. We'll have about 20 vendors. That's local utilities, agencies and businesses. And the whole focus of that energy and resource fair is to provide a fun and interactive way for people to learn about ways to mitigate climate-related hazards in extreme heat, extreme cold, air quality, incentives and rebates that they might qualify for. And also just to learn a little bit about lessening their carbon footprint. So that's going to be a great one. And that really is the first step in our commitment to use climate resiliency as a calling card for homeowners and renters in the wider community alike. The environment is one of our age-friendly objectives. And we know that, for example, in mobile home parks, that is, the structure itself is climate vulnerable, and the people who live there have limited resources. And yet most people who choose to live in a mobile home park later in life, that is their aging in place goal. So we can bring the whole show into those parks and really support them in a meaningful years in aging in place. So we'll hear more about that as the summer and the year rolls out, but that's kind of the trajectory of outreach. And Mallory? Yes. Mallory has been our intern. And she's been our Master's of Social Work intern from Pacific University. And today is her last day after 9. Mallory, really, she's been so great to work with, and it's been so valuable. And I just want you to be able to talk briefly about what your need assessment's about.
Do I need to get in front of the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, so I've been here since September, and I'm in my first year of my master's program, and I'm almost done. Turns out the master's programs don't have finals weeks, they have finals month. So grades are due on the 16th, so everything will be done by the 16th. But with Heidi and the senior community programs, I focused on reading and conducting and completing a community needs assessment. From a social work point of view, the outreach program was the client. So I was in a macro placement, meaning that my clients weren't individual people, my client was the program. And so we created a needs assessment. It was, we did a qualitative interview approach, and there were semi-structured interviews, meaning that we did have questions, but we didn't stick straight to those questions. We had a conversation. We invited 8 area service providers, Salem area agencies to participate, and 7 of those that were invited agreed and consented to participate. So we had anywhere from 35-minute to 60-minute interviews, which each of these 7 agencies, and then agencies sent anywhere from 1 to 4 employees to be that representative. And once we got all of that, I took all of those transcriptions and that data and sorted through it. And I finished this morning. I got up at 5:30 to finish my final document. Finished this morning. There's a 21-page document. It's about 8 pages of an assessment and then recommendations. Heidi and I were talking about, okay, well, recommendations are great. And the reality is that they need to be able to shift to where the program is. And so I split them into short-term, medium-term, long-term, and then they can be shifted kind of as capacity allows or depending where the program and the center's mission and vision is within those. And yeah, that was kind of the entire project. That was the purpose of, I mean, there's more to my internship than that, but that was really the main focus. And I am excited to turn that in. I'm excited to not look at it for maybe a week or so, and then I'll go back and keep looking at it. But yeah, very thankful to have been an intern here.
What was your biggest takeaway? Something that you didn't think that kind of was an aha moment for you as you were working on it?
Well, I definitely met my goal. My goal was to become confident in macro social work. And so and macro social work is kind of that higher level policy, the bigger community level social work. So not micro social work is what we often think about when we think of social workers with a client, maybe giving therapy or case management. And there's different levels of the society and the community of where social workers fit in. And so I really wanted to become confident in my community assessment skills. I had done assessments, but I never felt like I really got from the start to the beginning. So I did meet that goal. I'm very happy about kind of that professional career development. My biggest takeaway, at least right now, is that it all comes together. I think something I've experienced in macro work when I'm working with policies and communities and bigger institutions is that it feels like, oh my gosh, nothing is happening. I've had this, and I'm not talking about this one specifically, but I've worked in other jobs where when it is long-term community change, it is long-term. And so I think my biggest takeaway, at least right now, because I'm taking it away from 5:30 this morning, is that it does come together. And just the process of sitting with the data, sitting with the information, is part of that work process, even if you're not actively sitting at the computer and typing something.
Thanks.
It is very hard. I love your comment because if you have been in it long enough, you sometimes aren't sure if the needle has moved. Because it can be very small change. Or it's the unseen change, right, that isn't always documented but has occurred. So thank you very much. You will be missed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I will
Mallory.
miss being here as well.
What are you doing next?
Well, I have a summer break. I'm gonna go to Illinois where my family is. My sister's graduating college. So I'll be in Illinois and Kentucky for the end of this month. June, I decided, is my month. I am going to learn a language. I'm gonna walk 2 times a week. So that's what June is. My husband and I are traveling to Uganda for just about 3 weeks in July. And then I will start my second year of my master's program in August. And my internship for next year is with the Hillsborough VA. I'll be with their HUD-VASH program, which is their VA supportive housing program. So I'll be doing more micro individual social work and working with veterans, landlords, communities to move into housing and then through kind of a therapeutic approach as housing is healthcare, working with all of those entities to maintain housing.
She's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I would just like to say, because I got to be Mallory's field supervisor and I was the lead on her client project that Mallory is extremely bright and dedicated and a wonderful collaborator. And she, as a learner, she brings a wealth of education, life experiences already to the table, and was just so much fun and so appreciated to work with. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
What language are you learning?
Oh, well,
Kind of curveball.
yeah, that's, do we have time? No, okay. That's a little bit of a extended answer. In June, I'm focusing on getting back to my comprehension within Spanish. So, in like 2015, I lived in Spain and I got to a B level or B1 level, which is like low intermediate level of Spanish. And then I didn't use Spanish for 8 years because I didn't live in a place that spoke Spanish. And then I learned other languages. And now I'm in a place where Spanish is the primary language that would be helpful for me. But whenever I try to speak Spanish, my brain gives me 4 different languages all at once because I have I've become proficient in other languages and then did Spanish. So anyway, the goal for June is to work on comprehension and speaking skills. My focus is to not worry about grammar so much, but just being able to talk. Anyway, short, long story, kind of long, but short. That's the answer.
I have a 10:30 meeting.
I want you to know that I sent this to your email.
Okay.
So if everyone could take the next 10 days.
Yeah.
And read it and send your comments back to me of any nature, please do.
Okay, and then I need to connect you with the investment group too.
Yes,
Okay, I'll do
please,
that.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
What?
So this is the annual report. I sent it to everybody yesterday, midday. And so I didn't have the expectation that you would read it, although Annie read the whole thing. Good job, Annie. If you would please take the annual report, just quickly, the front cover, I'm replacing the top photo. Second page, John has not approved his quote. So, when he is done, we'll go there, and I don't like the red ink on the purple, because you can't read it. So that's changed. I like the content of each page, the volunteer page. I think it gives you stats and it gives the reason behind it. So we're keep saying the stats are cool, but there's actually the reason why we do the things we do. So we tried to tie it back to what's the world know about things? What do we know about things? And what do we want to do with it moving forward? So we do try to either identify an impact, impact overview. What are we trying to do? Or we identify what the next goals are. So please read the volunteer piece because it's so important, because that's really the focus of the upcoming year as volunteers. I also have big page volunteer continued. That'll be changed too. I have what we told them we would do in 2024. And I want to answer that very clearly to council. We said we would and we did, and here it is.
Right.
The reason I keep using those words and I'm not softening that is, as you know, we have been bumped multiple times for presenting our annual report. And that is becoming a challenge for us because council, when we give our reports each year, I will let you know, we always get a comment from the floor. And last year's comment from the floor was, what are you doing about diversity? And we don't think you're reaching underserved neighborhoods. Well, don't say that if you're not going to give us the opportunity to come back and report on it.
Right.
So even though we have been bumped, and I think it's a political timing thing with the levy now, because everything I say or do is under extreme scrutiny, I want you to know this will go in June. This report will go to June because I'm too upset that we accomplished all this, and I want it to be publicly acknowledged. You asked us to do this and we did it. And so that's kind of why it's so that in here. Meaning that, like how I explained it. But we also always want them to know that we're not just randomly picking things. We have a concrete plan for 2025. Now, granted, we're in the middle of 2025. That's okay. The timing of this, whether it's fiscal year or calendar year, just doesn't really matter. I've stopped worrying about that. Respite care, if you look at that page, that pic's being replaced. Our Mr., he passed away this year, so we want to remove that picture and put a different one, I think. We're gonna report on the caregiver program because significant portion of our local donors give to respite. So that's why we keep prioritizing that program, because the community supports it. We want to know them to know where their money came from. Lifelong learning and the fitness center, those are our two major core program areas. Those are our cornerstone programming, lifelong learning and fitness. We're gonna highlight those because that's the number part for us here inside volunteers, but it's the numbers. It's like who comes, how many people come.
We've got data.
That's the data. So I gotta figure out, and we've softened it with some, the important stuff of why we do what we do. I think it's important. We don't just offer classes to fill time. That's what I hope that's what you get from the reading. We offer classes because it is a health benefit. It's good for our brain health. It's good for our skill development, and it actually combats isolation. And that's what it talks about in here. The same is true with fitness. Of course, we talk about, the health benefits of it, but we wanted to highlight that we don't do these things alone. That's why we captured Dr. Raj. Having the physical therapist in this building is huge. It's a game changer. I believe that's why we have 800 members. I think it just adds that credibility, but also that continuum of care. And it's a numbers thing. The WOW van and our outreach gets a significant amount because again, that was a criticism. The criticism that we received is you're out in Northeast and no, you're only serving the people that can get to the Portland Road location. And while I appreciate that because it's on our minds all the time as well.
Mhm.
Even before that question, we have been working on reaching different pockets of our community since 2020. So that it wasn't new, but the fact that our counselors still asked it tells me they didn't know. They weren't recognizing what the WOW van was truly about. So it has a prominent space in there. I love we get to highlight the pilot, the transportation program. And what it's doing, and then also the WOW van. Will you look at that page? It feels like this to me makes me feel like the going to the neighborhoods is the this seems too close to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like, okay, so we need to redo the pilot page. Those are not the same. The WOW van visits is different than the pilot driver program.
True. True, but I do think that this is, it's good to have this visual. You might just need the vans to be smaller, and I can see them saying, well, how come there's no coming up or next? So you probably.
If we get a picture of the.
Yeah. Just a piece of
That might be
explanation. Maybe that
Right.
is the.
Right, because this is the conclusion report. And we need to explain
And-
those.
These images go with this first page, so even if you took that graphic, and took this, moved it up, take that data down with a picture of Nancy, that's probably all this list you need.
So you'll take a look at that.
Okay.
Marilyn,
Uh-huh.
I got it in the mail. I read it this morning in the parking lot. And my thought was, this is really good information.
Uh-huh.
It's easy to read. And it's like, whoa, this is telling me all in one package what we have. I mean, I was very impressed. I mean, what I saw, I was really happy with. So, but it's the little things, I know the concept of, and especially, this is what we said we'd do, this is what we've done, right? That was impressive.
I agree, the layout is really easy to work
Yeah.
through, really easy to read, and it is. Here's what we said we were gonna do, here's what we did, and here's the data to show it.
Good. The last page of the report, why are we different? Why is that in there? So one of the things that we are working with our age-friendly communities is elevating the value of senior centers in our community, and not just Salem, but Marion and Polk County. We have a collaborative of 9 senior centers working together. And because the Oregon trend and the national trend from the Mississippi over to the West Coast is to make everything a community center. I will say from the well, maybe I was wrong on the Mississippi, Midwest to the East Coast, senior centers, they're in every neighborhood. I mean, there's like this, there's a lot more recognition of the value of senior center designated locations. West Coast, Washington, Oregon, California, we're losing ground. Because we have all of these major tax restrictions that have made us have to be efficient, and efficiency translates to merging everyone into one single location and making it a y'all come kind of service as opposed to specialized. Well, we don't like that because we know the data also says that there's great benefit from having intentional programming for older adults,
Mhm.
where seniors are recognized as the purpose as opposed to an add-on. And so we are unanimous across the board for all the senior centers, except for Kaiser, just to let you know, Kaiser's not, they have not, they're the only one that has not joined the collaborative.
Oh,
They don't need it. But, this group are all in agreement that we want to identify why are we different. We also in here talk about us particularly, how are we different than maybe some of the others? And I think it's important because there's like always that question. Well, South Salem doesn't have any staff, or, you know, Kaiser runs 100% without staff.
There's talk about it, you might as well answer it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
I mean, I ask it. You know, our counselors ask it. So that's the annual report. Please read it one more time. I'm gonna spruce this up. I'm gonna work it, clean it. I'm gonna have another professional eyeball it. I'm gonna have Heidi squeeze and fix her pages, because I put them in the wrong order. And then we're gonna send it in June. So just know I'm gonna send out a message on that. So, that is pretty exciting. So we'll go ahead and get that. Budget will be adopted in hopefully,
by June it will.
yeah, in the next
Faster.
couple of weeks. And then, of course, the ballots are gonna come in and the levy will conclude, and then we'll reconvene with whatever that vision's gonna look like for Center 50 plus.
And we'll be just fine,
We will-
whichever way it goes.
We
No,
will.
we're not.
We are not, what I would say is we are not going to, we are not gonna fall apart. We are not gonna fall apart because we have some great structure and some great people. But I will tell you, the other day, we had a very small staff. No one showed, they were gone. We had a death, and so a death in a family member, and so no staff in the connection center. We had someone else out on vacation. We had someone else out sick. It was a pretty rough day. And then I think I was in meetings all day. I mean, it was like this crazy day. So 4 out of 7 were not available. And people were like, well, why can't Marilyn come out and talk to me? Or I've left her a message this morning at 8 and it's 11 and I haven't heard from her. And my staff and I paused and we said, how we're feeling right now, we need to look at this because this is what we will be presenting. And there will be adjustments because our seniors are very used to immediate come into the door, come to the person's office, call on the phone, connect. They're in that's the norm here. And in that moment, we realized that won't be the norm.
Mhm.
And so there will be some adjustments. And
Well, and you will do the best you can with what's left.
that's
It
right.
will not be what is here now, as just
That
what
is-
you said. And the message we don't want to give people is we'll be fine if it doesn't pass. No, we need to get this passed because park will not be mowed. Restrooms will be closed. Who takes their kid to a park with a restroom where it's closed?